Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kai. For those that do not know, I'm going to be reviewing The Traitors UK Season 2, Episode 2. Before we get started, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video please, and leave your comments down below. All right, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So we see a traitor, the last one that's recruited, and he's walking down the hall in the dark. He enters the turret. The other traitors are in the turret and they have their heads down with the hoods over them. Miles walks in and he throws his head back, puts his hoodie back, and he says in his confessional, "I'm a traitor." He's laughing, right? So the other traitors reveal themselves. And he's looking like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. I can't believe it's you. I can't believe it's you, Paul. I can't believe it's you, Harry. And Harry says, did you suspect any of us? And he was like, no way, I haven't. And they're like, okay, good. So we see Miles in his confessional say, I want to be the last traitor standing and I want to take all the money. So I feel like Miles is going to be cutthroat early, but probably very sneaky and slick with his. So they immediately get into their first murder together. Miles says Jazz, himself, and Kyra all have the shield, so they're off the table. Can't banish them tonight. Paul brings up Ant and says how he flipped on Zach and how he might be someone good to take out. Miles said, no, you got to think about it. He's going to banish himself. Don't banish people who can banish themselves. So that's a waste of a murder. So Ashton brings up Sonya, and she mentions the comment that Sonya made to her at breakfast. Remember, she asked her, are you a traitor? Just out of the clear blue sky. And Harry's like, oh, she's harmless. Ash is like, no, ma'am, she is not. I'm thinking, no, she is not. You must haven't seen Sonya in action. Sonya is something else. I told y'all to keep your eye on her. Then she brings up the fact that she spoke with Aubrey, and she asked Aubrey, do you have any idea who the Traitors is? And he was like, yeah, I do. And they were like, okay, yeah, we might have to get him out because he's going to be a problem. Miles says, yeah, he watches everybody from a distance. I see him. So we know they're probably going to have to get him out. I feel like that's who they're going to murder. Then Paul says, Diane, that's Miss Diane, makes you feel like she's just suspicious of you. It's just the way that she interacts with you and the way she looks at you. So he's trying to put her name out there. So we have Anthony, we have Diane, we have Aubrey, and we have Sonya. So who do y'all think they're going to murder tonight? Ash sits back and watches too much. He's too observant. That's what Miles says. And he's got to get out of here. So I feel like it's going to be Aubrey. You got to get up out of here. You got to leave. He's leaving on that midnight train in Scotland. Baby, you got to get up out of here. So they decide who they're going to murder, and we find out in the morning when they make it to breakfast. Johnny and Tracy are the first people into breakfast. So they sit down, they get ready to see who's coming in, who was murdered last night. They get the knocks on the doors, the people come in, everybody is shook. They can't eat, they're talking amongst themselves. Who do you think it's going to be? I was so nervous I can't eat. Then Harry comes in. He speaks to everybody, and someone asks, how did y'all sleep last night? I think it was Charlotte. How did y'all sleep last night? Harry says, I still felt a little nervous, even though I had the shield. And I'm like, Harry, it's given a little bit too over performative. You might want to scale it back just a tad. But okay, I digress. So we see Miles, he comes in, and this is his first time coming into breakfast. So he's just like, this is my first time coming into breakfast, being a traitor, and I really don't know how to act. Like, I hope I'm not, giving any tells, any signs that I'm a traitor. Like, I have to adjust to, these reactions when everybody walks in because I already know who's coming and who's not. So Paul walks in, he's waving, "Hi, good morning. How y'all doing? Hey, how you doing down there?" I was like, these are the most performative trainers I have ever seen. But it must be working because a couple of people at the end of the tape, I think it was Ross and who was the other girl? It wasn't Molly. I can't remember who it was, but she was like, I can tell when Paul walks in, that is authentic. That's a genuine. He's happy that he made it through the night. I know he's not a traitor. And I'm like, baby, you so far off. Bless your sweet little heart. So the last three people walk through that door. Miss Diane is one of them. And as soon as they get into breakfast, everyone's like, "Oh my God, it was Aubrey. It's Aubrey." And she's like, "What? What? It's Aubrey. Aubrey's been murdered." So the camera's going around looking at everybody's faces. No one's really looking like, suspect. I feel like it's just too early into the game for all of that. But we find out that Aubrey left, and then we see Aubrey get his murder letter. And he says, "You know what? They were intimidated. They were scared. They knew. They knew that I was going to find them out. So it's all good. But they got rid of me." And I was like, that is exactly what it was, Aubrey. He said, "I probably was too vocal." And was. And was. That's why they got rid of you. And did. And did. So then the camera cuts over to Ash and her confessional, and she's saying, "Listen, Aubrey, Sonya, and Miss Diane are just too vocal. They are too vocal." And they had to go. And Aubrey, well, he had to go. We had to book his behind on the first train up out of here. And you were the strongest of the three, so it was you. I personally think it was Miss Diane. Y'all should have got rid of Miss Diane because Miss Diane be going in. Baby be sitting back, watching, plotting, and scheming. And we're going to get into all of that. But I personally think that Miss Diane should have been numero uno. So we got Miss Diane still left and Sonya. But Aubrey, bye-bye. So now Claudia walks in and she asks someone to assist her with Aubrey's picture from off of the wall so she can sling it on the ground like yesterday's trash. And she reminds them, it's going to be your first banishment tonight. So make sure you're paying attention to everyone around you. Make sure you're watching their body language, the things that they say, people that they are conversing with. All of that is important. Pay attention. As we get ready to go into our mission, meet y'all outside. So everybody is out and they're all talking, and I think Sonya, Miss Betty Wright, Ash, they outside, they talking, and Molly is there as well. And Ash says, "So, Sonya, what else do you do for a living, other than being a traitor?" Because remember, Sonya called her a traitor, right? In the last episode. And so Sonya was like, "Well, I have a degree in social science, which is the study of how people act in society." And they're like, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that. That was something you might want to keep to yourself." And I'm thinking, yeah, why would you tell anybody that? You study how people act, baby. You need to be in this game, but you don't need to tell anybody about that. Like, you are a professional. You got to go. You got to go. I hope, well, we know Ash. Ash do not play. Baby takes notes. So I'm pretty sure Betty White, you next on the list. So they asked Molly if she's ever modeled before, and she says, "Actually, yes, I have. When I was younger, I went into a store and I saw a model with one arm, and that inspired me to want to be a model. Because remember, Molly is the one who has one hand." And then she said also stomas, and they were like, I think it was Ross. He was like, what stomas? I'm sorry. Could you speak to that? Molly says also when she was 11, she had to have her colon removed. So now she has a bag that is attached to her body for waste removal. And, she was like, it was definitely something hard growing up because immediately she thinks, I'm never going to be able to get in the bathing suit. I'm never going to have a boyfriend again. That's why being able to do the challenge yesterday and being in that swimsuit and being able to swim and stuff was like, it meant a lot to her. And I'm like, wow, she's been through a lot. I don't remember what she said about her hand. I don't know if they said it in the first episode. I missed that. Can y'all remind me down below in the comments? But I'm just like, wow, sis, you done been through it. But she don't look like what she been through. So kudos to you, girl. So we see Jazz and Ross, and they are in the little bar area or whatever that is, kitchen bar area. And Ross is telling Jazz about the comment that Zach had made after the challenge. And remember, he said something about sleeping good at night. But he wasn't really talking about the comment because he was like, Zach is just like really playful. Like when he said it in the car, everybody agreed that it was nothing. Like we're just going to forget about it. But no, Sonya made it her business when I walked into a room last night to say, oh, Ross, come here. Who was that had said that about that comment and brought it up? And I kind of like feel like she stirs the pot a little bit. And he looks at Jazz and is like, do you agree? And there's like this weird, awkward silence for like 4 seconds. And then Jazz is like, yeah, I agree. So I feel like Ross is planting some seeds of doubt with Sonya. And I feel like he's coming for her tonight at the round table. Diane, Paul, and Harry are sitting in another room with Jazz. Jazz is just getting it in, baby. When I tell you, Jazz, did you secretly play for the challenge, Big Brother or something? Because Jazz is in one of them rooms. He's in every room. He is not missing a meeting. What you won't do is bring his name up, baby. He gonna make sure he hears everything. I was like, dang, you was just in the kitchen. You were here now with these people. You better play this game, boy. So Miss Diane is like, I have something to tell y'all, so make sure nobody comes in to this room. And they're like, child, what you say? Like, we're talking about something else. Spill the tea, sis. What's going on? And she's like, I have an idea who a traitor is. She said, when we first got to the castle, I was just looking at everyone and just trying to see who could be a traitor. Then she points to Paul and says, I thought that you could be a traitor. Not that you're an awful person or anything like that. I just felt like, you would be really good at playing playing the role of a traitor. And Paul, when I tell you Paul was so cool, he was like, okay, continue. He kept saying, mm-hmm. And she was like, well, at the beginning, when we first got here and we all had to line up, she said, I tried to get kind of in the middle, right where Anthony was. And he just would not let me in. And I'm just like, ooh, that ego. Like, he has an ego. He could be a traitor. And I'm like, okay, Miss Diane, I see. Your reads have been on point, but this one is no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It's given. It's given something I don't want to say it's given, but girl, all I'm going to say is Anthony is the black man. So then they try to figure out who the other traitors are. Anthony and Andrew are always talking to each other. And so Miss Diane's like, so the third one, you think that would have to be a lady, right? And Paul's like, yeah. And she says, who? And he's like, I haven't, quite put my finger on it yet. And she said, I have. And he was like, oh, okay, continue. Go ahead. And she was like, Ash. I said, this lady right here, did y'all tap this lady on the shoulder and tell her that she was a secret traitor and she couldn't let even us know? Because this lady knows all the freaking traitors. I was like, dang, this is crazy. This lady is on point. When I tell you, it is crazy. So, of course, Harry tries to come to her defense and is like, no, I think Ash just talks to everybody. Because Miss Diane was like, I see Anthony talking to Ash. And Harry's like, I think she just talks to everybody. And she's like, no, she don't. I said, oh, Jesus. So it's time for the mission and they all meet outside. Claudia explains they have 25 minutes to get 6,000 pounds, and she is going to have 9 people out in the fields, or out in the castle grounds, not the fields, out in the grounds, the castle grounds, and everybody else is going to be inside of the castle. So they have to split up amongst themselves. She's not going to do it for them. They have to just themselves split into the team. And Zach gets an attitude because Harry and Kyra want to be outside, because they were like, well, who's good with running? Because the mission, you have to be, in shape, at least a little bit athletic, right? And so if you are not in shape, or you just don't feel like it, like, you can go inside the castle. Kyra and Harry want to be outside. Well, remind you, Kyra and Harry had a shield last time. So Zach has an attitude because he's like, that's not fair. Like, everybody else should be able to get a shield. And if you guys have already had one, like, I feel like y'all shouldn't have the opportunity. So they're just like, oh, well, we're going to be outside, period. Okay? So the mission is they get a map and they have to go to these different nests, these bird nests. Once they get to the nest, they have to call in to the castle, give the bird signal. Then the people on the inside of the castle have to run around and press all the buttons on the different birds inside the castle, and whichever sound that they called in correlates with the bird that's inside the castle. They give it to Claudia, boom, they win some money for that bird. Okay, they give it to Claudia, they're not right, of course, they don't win any money. So, pretty easy mission, right? Very funny when they do these bird sounds, though. She also lets them know there is one nesting ground where the bird signal, if you get it correct, you automatically get 3 shields. So Andrew hears this. Andrew, Paul, and Anthony are all on the same team. So Andrew looks at them and says, I think we should just go in for the shields. They're going to say it's selfish, but somebody's going to get the shield, so why not let it be us? Go for the shields, we get the shields, and then we go for the money. That's their plan. So everybody takes off running with their maps. Harry, Molly, and Jasmine arrive to the marsh nesting ground, and they call in. And their first sound is a dog sound. Woof, woof. The bird sounds like a dog. It's a dog bird. So they call in, they find the bird, boom, they win like 3,000 pounds, I think. So Kyra, Brian, and Miss Diane, they're running through the grounds and they find the second bird. They call in, Zach finds the bird, boom, they win the second bird. So then we see Paul, Anthony, and Andrew, and they have finally made it to the bird with the shield. It took them a minute, but they're there. They call in and give the sound, and Jazz ends up finding the bird. I literally thought that when they realized where they were, that they weren't going to let them get the shields. Like, I felt like they were going to block it for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe because, that's probably happened on another season. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But I just had that feeling. I was wrong, but I had that feeling. But they end up getting the bird correct. They win the money and they get the shield. So now they're off to try to go and get find another location so they can actually win some money. So people won't be mad at them for just going for the shield only and not getting money. You know what I mean? Like, at least when they get back to the castle, they can say, well, we got money and we got the shields. So that can kind of be like their defense when people come for them, because people gonna come for them about those shields, right? So the next 2 calls they got wrong. When they called in and did the noise, they ran in, they grabbed 2 different birds. Wrong. You don't get any money. Then we see Kyra, Diane, and Brian, and they have made it to the shield, and it says the bird has flown the nest. Baby, when I tell you they was big mad, and I can tell somebody is going to have to pay later on when they get back to their castle. So they have I think 5 minutes left. Paul, Anthony, and Andrew call in. We got a bird. They make the little bird sound. They make the bird sound. They run in there. Zach runs in there. He grabbed. No, it wasn't Zach. It was the two ladies. They grab like the biggest bird ever. They bring the bird, press the button. Well, tell Claudia the bird's name and the location, and they win. So they ended up getting 5 birds out of 7, and I think they got £5,000. So Claudia lets them know that the shields were found, and you can let us know if you receive if you're the person that found the shields, or you don't have to say nothing at all. So it was literally like a split second. They kind of hesitated. They were looking around like to see if anybody else was gonna say something. Y'all was the one that got the shields. Why are y'all looking around? Either you're gonna say something or you're not gonna say something. Which one is it? And so they say, we're gonna be honest, we got the shields. So everybody knows that Paul, Anthony, and Andrew has the shields. We're back at the castle. Everybody's eating. They're sitting around. They're conversing, and they're trying to get to the bottom because guess what? In just a few minutes, we're going to the round table. It's time for banishment. So we have got to find this traitor. Who is a traitor? So Jasmine asked Paul, well, whose idea was it to go for the shield? And he was like, Andrew. He ain't waste no time. That was Andrew. Talk to him. You got a problem with him? Talk to him. And they're like, I mean, that's not like a bad thing or whatever. And Kyra's like, well, I just think that's kind of like selfish because like we were gonna go for the shield, but we wanted to get money. Like we felt like it was our duty to get money first, then go for the shield. And I'm like, I mean, I feel like they did both, so it really didn't matter which way that they didn't do it. I mean, that they did it in. Now, if they would have gotten the shield and everyone would have gotten all the birds and they didn't bring any money, now we have a problem. But they did both, so I feel like, hey, you really can't talk crap. So we see Johnny, Zach, and Miles, and they're sitting having a conversation, and they're trying to figure out who the traitor is, but they're like, we don't really have much to go on. And Johnny's like, I mean, anybody could be a traitor. Zach, you could be a traitor. And Zach is like, no, I'm a faithful. And Miles gets ready to start talking, and Zach asks him, is he a faithful? He's like, of course not. But the way he hesitated before he answered that question, I was like, ooh, if Diane would have been in this room, you would have been in big trouble. You better be glad that it's just Zach and Johnny, and they're not really on to you like that, or just on to anybody like that. They're really not, that great a player. Well, I ain't gonna say that. Yeah, I will say that. They're really not that awesome of players right now. So, you better be glad that Miss Diane wasn't up in here, or either Sonya, because I feel like both of them do not play. They be on it, especially Miss Diane. So the camera pans over to Miss Diane, Ross, and Charlotte, and they're sitting having a conversation. And Diane says that, of course, again, she thinks that the traitor is Anthony. She is gunning for Anthony tonight. She is on it. But I believe this is the first time that her and Ross have had a conversation. And so this is Ross's opportunity to say, that's not who it is. I'm going to tell you who it is. And he says, it's Sonya over there. And Miss Diane's like, Sonya, no, she's not a traitor. He's like, I just feel like she's stirring the pot a little bit. Charlotte kind of backs up Miss Diane and says how Anthony has been acting different since day one. That statement always is like weird to me when it's like day 2 because you don't know me. How you gonna tell me how I act? Like, you don't know me, baby. But okay, if you say so. So when they say like you changed, like you just know me for 24 hours, what are you talking about? I changed. But if that's all you have to go off, I understand we're pressed for time. Banishment is in like 20 minutes. So if you have to go off of that, use that. I feel like that's the same thing that happened in some other seasons. So it's just annoying. Like, give me another reason. Like, give me something that somebody actually said or did. We'll go off of that. So just to confirm, Miss Diane asked Ross, so who are you going for tonight? And he said, Sonya. She said, I would be careful voting for someone who other people do not think is a traitor. I said, Miss Diane thinks she won the game. I mean, it's good advice. It's good advice. But, okay. I'll walk into the round table. It is time for someone to be banished. They all sit down. Claudia walks in and she says the prize pot is at 16,000 pounds. And the last time we was in this room, I chose the traitors. And I'm wondering if the faithfuls could do the same and choose the traitors tonight. Whoever receives the most votes will be banished from the castle forever. And as soon as she gives that speech, Miss Diane says, I'll start first. I'll start first. She does not play. She says, Anthony, I think that you are a traitor. When we first got to the castle and we were outside and we lined up, I tried to get in the line in the middle because I didn't want to be in the front and I didn't want to be in the back. And I tried to get right in the middle. And you would not let me. You stopped me. And I'm thinking again, how is that a traitor, baby? Y'all hadn't even got into the castle and they wasn't even, Claudia hadn't even tapped nobody on their shoulders. You think the man a traitor because he rude? Okay. Or are you rude? Because Anthony says, you walk up to me, you don't say hello, you don't hug me, you don't kiss my cheek, you don't do anything. You speak to everyone else, and then you're trying to move me out the way. If I have a problem with someone, you have a problem with me, you come and tell me. We can handle that. But this is the first time that I'm hearing about it tonight. Then here comes Charlotte chiming in. Well, I have to back her up because I feel like your demeanor has changed since you've been here. You've been different. Girl, it has been 24 hours. What are you talking about? So Zach jumps in. He says, listen, I don't think that Anthony is a traitor. I think he's defensive because Anthony was getting very defensive. As he was when they were talking about him in that boat. That Anthony, I told you, babe, take it down a notch. You gotta bring it on down. Bring it on down, okay? You gotta bring it on down before I get to blowing up on your ass. If y'all know where that's from, tell me down in the comments. So that's what Anthony needs to do. He needs to bring it on down, okay? He's a little too rowdy. So Zach says he's just defensive. I don't think he's a traitor. He's just defensive. Now Kyra jumps in and baby, she is hot. She says, Andrew, I think that you're a traitor. When we were outside, you kept saying, forget the shields, forget the shields, forget the shields, when we were trying to determine who was going to be inside the castle and who was going to be outside the castle. And I find it mighty strange that as soon as you get into your group, the first thing that you want to do is go run off and get the shields. And he's like, well, who told you that? Paul. They don't waste no time. It was Paul. And Paul was like, yes, it was me. I told her that. But I could have sworn that I heard you say that. And Kyra's like, I just feel like that's not fair because other people wanted to get a chance, have a chance to get the shields. And Andrew is like, well, I was doing this for the team, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, well, I was doing it for the team too. And then Zach jumps in and was like, well, I think you're a freaking hypocrite because how are you going to say you were doing it for the team? We were all tied up and you just ran. As soon as you got untied, you just ran in the last challenge. You didn't think about anybody. You were selfish. You went and got the shield for yourself and you're trying to say that was for the team. So why is it different when you do it versus what he does? Babe, when I tell y'all, Harry said, hey, we are here to find traitors. I don't want to hear about this. And with that being said, Zach, you're a traitor. I was like, wait, what? Well, how does Zach get in it? How does Zach get in it? He just got in it like that. Zach, you're a traitor. He was like, when we were at this round table the last time, you were just so you were laughing so hard and you were so giddy. And then when the blindfolds came off, you was another person. I'm like, here we go again. What are you talking about? But okay, I'm going to let y'all have this. I need y'all to stop saying this. So now it's Ross's turn. He says, Sonia, I think you're a traitor. When that comment was made and Johnny said it in the car and we were, we all decided that we were going to brush that off. You came into the castle, told everyone, and I feel like you're stirring the pot, and I feel like that's traitor behavior. So Johnny says to Ross, if Sonya is not a traitor tonight, I'm coming for you. And he said, well, why are you coming for me? Because Ash had chimed in too and was saying how she thought that he was a traitor. I mean, and she thought that Sonya was a traitor as well because of how she just came off in her face and was like, are you a traitor? Like she said, that was giving traitor vibes. You were trying to deflect and throw it on me. And so Ross is like, I mean, I'm not the only person here that thinks she's a traitor, so why are you coming for me? He said, I feel like you're the one that started it. I said, oh, Lord. I guess you're going to be next on the list if she go home. So they start with Jazz. Jazz votes Sonya. I guess he was convinced by Ross's talk when they were in the wet bar, by the wet bar. I guess Ross got into Jazz's head and at the table because when Sonya defended herself, all she said was, I'm not a traitor. Like, you guys have got me wrong. Baby, you had to come harder than that. I didn't know. I didn't know. So Jazz votes Sonya. That's one vote. Diane is next, and of course Diane votes Anthony. Harry votes next, and Harry votes Zach, which I still think is weird. So after Johnny gave that wonderful speech, he votes Sonya. But I guess he didn't want to be on the wrong side of the vote, so he, felt like Sonya may be getting the majority. So he went ahead and voted Sonya. But I'm like, shoot, Zach don't care. Zach voting, I mean, not Zach, I'm sorry. Harry don't care. Harry voting on the wrong side. And Harry's a freaking traitor. Harry should not be voting on the wrong side. So, okay, Harry. So Anthony goes and Anthony votes Diane, of course, because he says like he finds that very strange for her to just concoct this story out of the clear blue sky and vote him for no good goddamn reason. And next is Meg. And who does Meg vote for? Diane. She said, I hope that you prove me wrong. Why you vote for Diane? Where does this come from? That was so random. I'm like, girl, you might regret doing that. And so the rest of the votes go, and of course they vote out Sonya. And I'm like, dang, I like Sonya. Sonya just talked too much. Girl, should have laid low a little bit. You should have laid low a little bit. So she goes into the circle of truth, and Claudia says, before you leave my castle forever, are you a traitor? Or, I didn't do traitor good. Are you a traitor? She don't even say that. That's how Ellen says it. Are you a traitor or are you a faithful? And she says, I'm a faithful. And Diana's like, yes, I told y'all. And everybody's like, oh my God. I'm like, oh Lord, here we go with these fake reactions. So everyone goes into the rooms and into the wet bar, and we see Kyra and Miss Diane. I think it was Jasmine. And Jasmine is like, I knew she was the faithful. It was just she wasn't a good one. And Kyra was like, actually Kyra's in a different room. Kyra's like, she just didn't defend herself. Like, why was she acting like that? Why was she behaving that way? Like the things that she was doing, she was like, it was the way that she was acting, it was the things that she was doing that was getting her banished. That got her banished. So we see Andrew and Zach, and they're off in the cut talking. And this was real interesting because Andrew says that Miss Diane, she just has a way of, making you feel like she is on to you, or she feels like you're a traitor, because we know both of them are not traitors, right? But she thinks that Anthony is a traitor, but it's just the way that Miss Diane moves. And Zach says, I have a theory. I have a theory that it's a mom and a child. I'm like, a mom and a child? And Andrew's like, wait, what? And Zach says, I think that it's Diane and Paul. And I'm like, you're off on the Diane, but you're spot on with Paul. I want them to elaborate a little bit more on what is Paul actually doing that makes them feel like he's a traitor. Do y'all think that Paul is giving off traitor vibes? I know that I had said in my last video that he was speaking too much about, I think it's 3 people, blah, blah, blah. That right there was like, baby, you're talking too much. I said that in my last video. I feel like Harry is doing a little bit too much talking in this episode. So y'all let me know if you think that Paul is giving off traitor vibes. So the clock chime signals that murder is upon us. And everybody leaves the castle and goes back to their living quarters. And it's time for us to see the traitors head off to the turret to murder another faithful tonight. All in a turret, and they're doing a recap of the day, and they're saying how today, they played everything so well. And Harry's like, that's what we have to do from now on. We have to go for the shields, because remember last episode Harry got the shield. This episode Paul got the shield. So I love how strategic they are thinking. I think these are some good traders, right? And they're like, I haven't heard anybody's name. Harry's like, I don't know about that. He said, Ash, I've heard your name. And she's looking like, wait, what, me? My name? And he said, yeah, Miss Diane came to me and said that you move weirdly through the castle. And she thinks that you're a traitor. And she's like, what? That's crazy. Well, it don't matter if it's crazy or not. She thinks you're a traitor. So you better be doing something to change that. Because Miss Diane is one of the people that's going to tell every single person that she can. So y'all better silence her. So Miles brings up Kyra and says that she has a big voice and, she is very persuasive. And Paul's like, but I just wonder how many people are actually listening to her. Yes, she talks a lot and she doesn't let you get a word in, but who's listening? Harry suggests that I think we should shake things up and, throw them off and just do a random and kill Johnny. Not to mention that would lead back to Ross, because remember what he said tonight at the round table. I'm like, that's a good idea. Smart. So Miles says, I was thinking Meg. She threw out Miss Diane's name, and that was so random. I don't know what that was about. She would be a good person to murder. So they have Kyra, they have Johnny, and they have Meg all up for murder tonight. Who do y'all think is going to be murdered? Because, of course, they leave us with another cliffhanger. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Why y'all do this every week? Can y'all skip a week? Peacock, can y'all please skip a week? This is ridiculous. Now I got to go rush and watch to see who's going to be murdered. But I think that it's going to be... Meg didn't do too much. And the Johnny thing, I think they can keep Johnny and let him and Ross kind of battle it out and banish each other. So it would be wise for them to get rid of Kyra out of the people that they suggested. But they should murder Diane. Miss Diane should be out of here. Period. But now that she's told people about Ash, that would kind of put like a little target on her back. Just a bit. So, I mean, you have to just sacrifice one traitor for the game's sake, because she's not on to the rest of y'all. She was on to Harry, and I think she let that go. I'm surprised, because she looks like one of those people who don't let nothing go. So, I was shocked. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Kyra. Who do y'all think should be murdered tonight? Let me know in the comments below. I want to thank you all if you've gotten to this point in the video for watching. If you haven't gotten to this point in the video, thank you for coming through. Thank you for your likes, your support. I appreciate it. I love all of you. Before you get out of here, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you'll get notified every time I drop a video. I'm going to do episode 3 tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. And Till next time. Bye.